Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I'm sorry I took so long to upload. I want to say I was busy, but I was just a little bit lazy. What I'm going to do is, instead of uploading the motorcycle trip, I'm going to talk about how the Trident handled over the 1,000 kilometers that I did that weekend. And then I'll throw in some highlights of the trip for me. It is a little bit cold today, and I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but it's also a little bit wet. It was raining throughout the night. But yeah. So I want to start with, how did the bike feel? On average, we were driving about... So we went down from Johannesburg, well, actually Centurion, down towards Fouriesburg. And on our way down, we did 2 fuel stops. Fuel economy was roughly, or throughout the entire trip, roughly around 3.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So I'd say pretty good. I did have to stop twice for fuel, but overall, I think it was pretty good. Sorry, just need to focus. Alright, so the trip down was about... about 400 kilometers, I think. And that took us about 6 hours to do, but we did stop in Rates for some breakfast. Well, for me it was breakfast, for the other people probably lunch. So we stopped there a bit at the chocolate, I think it was the chocolate coffee shop. So I did have to move my feet once in a while. Normally I ride with my toes on the pegs, but the thing is, with the vibrations, it does start hurting. And we were doing about, on average, 120 kilometers an hour. So I just had to move my feet once in a while, put the peg in the middle of my foot. Other thing I had to do was move my butt around, because my butt did start hurting a bit. And then there was this one bumpy road that we did right before Villiers. And on that road, my license plate fell off. The standard Triumph bracket was vibrating so much that the bracket fell off. I'll actually put a clip up of when it fell off. As you can see, my plate fell off. But yeah, what can you do? Well, when I was able to look at it, so all I did now was I got a 180 millimeter by 120 millimeter, so 180 millimeter width and 120 like depth, so like the height. And then I just put a bunch of 3M tape on the back and just stuck it on there, and so far it's going good. So it's definitely something you could maybe look at. So yeah, the bike handled pretty good. I will say at that high speed it was a bit difficult, I want to say. Well, not difficult. The bike handled it fine, but when we were on our way back on the Sunday, me and my dad did a shorter route, so we did 360 kilometers instead. We cut out that bumpy road, and after that we were just doing about 110 on average. I'm not gonna lie, for me personally that felt a lot more comfortable than 120, 130. It just, I can't explain it. You kind of have to just experience it, but it was a lot more comfortable. The roads there were really nice, I'm not gonna lie. We were really lucky that we didn't get rain or anything like that. We rode on the Saturday we rode the Golden Gate, and that road is beautiful. We also did the little twisty part between Fouriesburg and Clarence. That road was amazing. I took a couple of pictures on our way back from the Golden Gate, so I'll also throw some of those up for you so you can have a look. Back to that bumpy road, sorry, I forgot about that. So the Trident, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but the front suspension is non-adjustable, the rear is adjustable. And I have my rear on as soft as possible. Now, albeit I am a bit light, so I don't really want to say it, but I'm about 55 kilograms. So I don't really weigh down the suspension of the bike that much, but those bumps were brutal, and we were going about 100 on that road. They were really bad. So if you ever come across bumps, what I found makes it better is to kind of stand. You kind of lift your butt a bit off of the seat and like put the weight on your feet. That way your legs can act as like a second suspension so that you don't get all the bumps transferred into your body. And that does make the bumps a lot more survivable, but I think it also depends on where you ride. So for us, our speed limits are pretty high, but maybe in the UK, if you're doing a cross-country trip, I'm not sure what the speed limits are there, but maybe it's only 80 or 100. Oh yeah, but they have miles, so I'm not sure, but obviously for you it depends. Our highways are 120. Some back roads are 80, some of them are 100. I've seen a couple back roads that are 120, I think. So it obviously does come down to how fast you're allowed to go. Overall, I think the bike handled it pretty good. I was happy with the performance. So I don't think you're going to really get too much complaints. The handlebars did vibrate quite a bit. I was pretty much on average at about 6,000 or 7,000 RPM. But it wasn't tiringly vibrating. It was vibrating, but like survivable, if that makes sense. I'm not sure, really. There's nothing else to say. The bike was good. The bike felt good. The power was good. Even for the speeds that we were going, the power was really good, and I had enough power to pass vehicles. There were a couple of passes where I feel I was lacking power because I was full throttle and I was not getting the power that I needed. I would have liked a bit more power coming from the bike, but at the same time, I don't think the bike really is designed to do that type of stuff, you know? It's for like urban riding and you know, maybe, yeah, like urban, maybe a bit of rural, not really rural high-speed highway. We left, went towards Fouriesburg, just outside of Fouriesburg, stopped at a fuel station, filled up, went back towards Fouriesburg, past Fouriesburg towards Clarence, got to enjoy that nice road. I took that part pretty chill. The other people in the group ride were flying. I mean, I was doing about 120 and they were gone. They were probably pushing 160, 170. So they were they were giving it throttle. But really nice road. I'll put up some of the views for that too. Continued on into the Golden Gate, stopped there a little bit at one part, took some pictures. Unfortunately, that's one part where my camera died, so I was talking to absolutely no one. I thought because at first I was going to make that an entire video, and then I was talking, and when we stopped I was like, oh damn, my camera died. Ended up doing the 2 loops that are there. So for 70 Rand per person you can do that loop and another loop. So we did those 2 loops, took some pictures and stuff, got back into the Golden Gate. Yeah, so sorry, those loops, they're pretty good. You kind of have to know what you're doing. There are a couple of sharp, steep bends, but otherwise it's actually a pretty nice experience. And there's this vulture's like nest, where you can like look at vultures and stuff. When we were there weren't any vultures. Entered back into the Golden Gate, we noticed some like dark clouds off in the distance, the direction that we were going. At first I was hoping that we were gonna make it. As we're going, 2 people in the group stopped and turned around for the weather. I kept going, got some really good views, but next thing I know, it's it's like drizzling, so I quickly pop a U-turn. That was a little bit dodgy, but I mean, otherwise you continue going and then you enter the thunderstorm, you know. So popped the UE, drove a bit, kept going. Again, in the middle of the valley, we stopped for some fuel because my fuel was getting a bit low. Continued riding on towards Fouriesburg. There was this other guy with us on a BMW R1200 RS. You could kind of tell he was scared of the corners because he was going slow. But I mean, no hate to him. He said it himself, he normally just rides straight fast roads, like on the highway and stuff, but you know, each to their own. So he pulled off because the group stopped at a cinnamon place, a sugar and cinnamon I think it was. So they stopped there to eat some pancakes, but we didn't want to get caught up in the weather, so we just kept going. Stopped for some pictures for about 20 minutes. I thought it was 30, but I checked later, it was about 20 minutes that we stopped. Took some pictures, continued to Fouriesburg, and yeah, made it. Right, so Sunday. Quickly stopped in Bethlehem to meet a friend that lives over there. Honestly, very confusing and very bumpy roads, I'm not gonna lie, but it was nice to meet my friend for the first time in the, I think, 6 years that I've known him. And that was the first time I got to see him in person. But yeah, so I met him, continued up. Most of the roads weren't bumpy, but they were kind of bumpy, if that makes sense. Not nearly as smooth as these roads are. A lot bumpier than these. But, I mean, still a pretty fun experience. If you're planning to do a long trip on your Trident, I definitely say go for it. Just because you don't have an adventure bike doesn't mean you can't do it. Pretty much everyone was on an adventure bike except me and this one other girl. She was on a bobber. I mean, so there's no reason you can't do it. You can definitely do a long trip on the Trident. Just make sure you move your butt around on the seat. And honestly, from there it's really pretty good actually. And I didn't even have any problems with the wind. I feel the adventure bikes were struggling more because they get their windshields blocking all the wind. They get used to that no wind. Then wind comes from the side and now they're fighting the wind. Where I didn't have that problem, so there's definitely some perks. But yeah, on the bumpy road, they obviously had the upper hand. So with that being said, I'm going to record another video now that I can upload. See you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it helped you decide, or maybe just get some insight on what it's like to ride the Trident long distance. Maybe you want to do it. You know, whatever your reason is for watching this video, I hope it was enjoyable and useful. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.